Michael Jagger out front there, wiggling his hip, naughty lad. And it's called Let's Spend the Night Together. Good morning, all you early morning gymnastics experts. I know you're on form this morning.
Let's Spend the Night Together was originally released as a single in January 1967. The B-side featured the song Ruby Tuesday. Upon release, the song caused quite a bit of controversy due to its supposedly suggestive lyrics. A few days after the single came out, Disc and Music Echo magazine reported,
"The Rolling Stones' new single has been banned by many US radio stations. Many stations have decided not to play this side, although the flip, Ruby Tuesday, is getting plays."
The fact that DJs in the States played the B-side instead, is the reason why Ruby Tuesday became a bigger hit in America. By the 4th of March, Ruby Tuesday reached number 1 in the States, while Let's Spend the Night Together stalled at number 28 according to Cashbox. On their appearance at the Ed Sullivan Show in the 15th of January, the band was initially refused permission to perform the song. A compromise was reached to substitute the words to Let's Spend Some Time Together. Jagger agreed to change the lyrics but rolled his eyes at the television cameras while singing them. Melody Maker reported,
Mick Jagger rolled back from America with the rest of the Stones after their appearance on The Ed Sullivan Show. The Stones ran into trouble over the title of their new hit single but managed to extract themselves honorably from the row. Jagger said, "Actually, the whole thing is absurd. I genuinely didn't want any of this dirty lyrics business. I'm not interested in that. I didn't expect it these days. I expected it from the national press because it's their scene, but that's all."
Melody Maker also reported,
"The Stones start work on their next LP within the next couple of weeks, even though their new album Between the Buttons is only just out." Jagger commented, "We've got some ideas for it. I'd like to get some longer tracks onto it. I'd like the LP to be less conventional in the way it's put together. Although I haven't worked out exactly in what way yet."
Even though the controversy wasn't as big in the UK as it was in the States, there were rumours that the Stones would also have to alter the lyrics for their television appearance at the London Palladium. Disc and Music Echo magazine interviewed Brian Jones and asked him about the possibility of the Stones being banned from performing the song on television. Brian said, "Who's going to make the decision? Who's going to moralise? I can't think of any other reason to do the Palladium show other than to plug the number. I can't see what right anyone has to object to the title of the song. Let's face it, kids are spending the night together all over the place. There's still a lot of hypocrisy in this country. It points to a lack of definition as far as moral progress is concerned. People don't really know what they're going through, they're just being put through it by mass media pressures. There are still good restaurants in town that don't let you in if you don't have a tie on. The people in control, the establishment, just haven't seen their way towards remolding their ideas to a 1967 way of thinking. It's ridiculous. After the war, the country was demoralized, lots of young men had been killed, and it was important to re-inject moral principles into the nation. But that was more than 20 years ago, now we can relax a bit." In another interview, Keith Richards commented, "The whole lot think like a lot of ancient grandmas. I know I wouldn't try to impose my standards on anybody else. And I'd be a darned sight more tolerant to my kids than they are to theirs. All this controversy came as a big surprise to us. Let's spend the night together is a phrase we take for granted. Obviously, others don't. That's the trouble with these older people, they make the most innocent thing seem obscene. All this stuff about obscenity is rubbish." The controversy reopened the debate about the increasing generation gap. The New Musical Express interviewed Jagger and asked him about it. Jagger said, "I would like to see more freedom. There are too many restrictions upon personal liberty. Young people are trying to size the world up and get all those misconceptions they were taught at school into perspective. My advice is don't be an engineer because your father was an engineer. Don't go to university because your father wants you to go to university. And don't accept things at face value. Think." In the end, the Stones were not forced to change the lyrics of the song at the London Palladium. But their television appearance still caused controversy. At the end of each show, all the artists mounted a rotating roundabout and smiled and waved. However, the Stones refused to appear in the roundabout. This angered both the producers of the show and Stones manager Andrew Oldham. Jagger said, "That revolving stage isn't an altar, it's just a drag. Me and Andrew had a great row about it, which made an excellent front page in the Daily Mirror, which I was very pleased about." Charlie Watts said, "We thought we had made it clear before we went on, that we wouldn't go on the turntable. The point was we had the effrontery to say that we wouldn't, so the producer got upset. But why should he get upset? After all, what are you arguing about? Just going round on a bit of cardboard for 10 seconds, and yet it's been going on for days in the papers. Immediately following the recording, Mick and Keith went to Paul McCartney's home in St. John's Wood to watch a videotaped recording of the show. A New Musical Express reader said,
The Stones' appearance on a show of the standard of the Palladium was in very bad taste. One would certainly not expect the Stones to wear dress suits and bow ties, but they could have made an effort to look reasonably respectable.
Other readers, however, applauded the Stones' decision.
I was pleased to see the Rolling Stones break away from tradition once again and refuse to go on that silly roundabout at the London Palladium. It should have been put in the Ark years ago. Bless you, Mick and the other Stones. And I'll still love you even if they don't ask you to the Palladium again.
As it usually happened whenever the Beatles or the Stones released a new single, the letters section of several magazines would be filled with letters by readers either praising the single or complaining about it. An American reader sent a letter to Disc magazine. The reader wrote,
I've been one of the Stones' most devoted fans since I first heard them. But sad to say, I feel they will fade away in 1967. Their last 3 records didn't make the top 5 here, and their new one will probably be their biggest failure yet. We know they're talented. They have already proved themselves. I would trade sitars and suits and mustaches and mothers standing in the shadows for harmonicas, filthy sweatshirts, long hair and king bees.
A reader called Robert Cooper complained.
For many years I have been a Stones fan. But after Mother Baby I thought their time was up unless they changed their style before their next single. But they come up with yet another blurred, meaningless and incredibly boring record. It seems strange that their albums are fantastic with a new type of sound but their singles stay the same.
A reader from Liverpool wrote,
Both the Stones and the Beatles are dead. They died long ago. The Stones do make fantastic albums. I really liked Big Hits and Tidegrass. But why can't they make good singles anymore? As for the Beatles, if I had my way, I would ship them off to the colonies, with the Stones following at a close second.
Other readers, however, seemed pretty excited about the single.
What more can any dedicated Stones fan ask for than the 2 great tracks on their new single? Also, their new album Between the Buttons has left me completely stunned. Backstreet Girl and She Smiled Sweetly are fantastic and easily worthy of the hit parade as singles. The Rolling Stones have now proved beyond a shadow of a doubt that they are our greatest group. Let's Spend the Night Together is absolutely fantastic. Their best single since Satisfaction.
A few days before the single was released, Disc and Music Echo magazine asked several British stars to give their verdict on the single. The magazine also reported that 2 coppers on truncheons were featured on the A-side.
Rolling Stones and policemen is not a combination that immediately springs to mind. But life is often stranger than fiction, and so it was that 2 policemen joined the Rolling Stones recording session and consequently came to appear on Let's Spend the Night Together, their next single out tomorrow. It happened when the Stones were cutting the final track for the new single at 3 a.m. one morning. 2 passing policemen, obviously either bored to tears, freezing cold, or just wondering what on earth all the racket was about, came thudding into the recording studio and hovered in the doorway watching in amazement the wonders of modern-day recording techniques. The policemen decided to stay. One of them was given the task of beating 2 truncheons together. This accounts for the odd empty clicking noise on part of the track. Graham Nash from the Hollies commented, Ruby Tuesday is very nice and very good for the Stones to have done. Although I don't think there's much doubt about which is the A-side. The words are the important thing on this, and I'd like to hear it more. Let's Spend the Night Together is a #1 record. They're certainly heading in the right direction to reinstate themselves in the chart. Cat Stevens said, I don't understand why they've done Ruby Tuesday. When I first heard it on the radio, I didn't know it was them, and I kept wondering if it was a new group. Let's Spend the Night Together is great. I really dig it. But it's odd because the text of the words don't really fit with the heavy driving sound. It's more a reversion to the old Stones sound. A #1? I'd say yes. Kinks drummer Mick Avery commented, Ruby Tuesday reminds me of Manfred Mann with those flutes and piano. I quite like it, but Let's Spend the Night Together is the definite top side. Ex-Animals keyboard player Alan Price said, "Ruby Tuesday doesn't sound like the Stones at all. And I think it's a mistake making the record a double A-side. Night Together is a bit too long, but it's a good discotheque dance record. I don't think it's a #1 single, but I'm always wrong." Easy Beats lead singer Steve Wright said, "I like the way the vocal is more forward on Let's Spend the Night Together. They usually use mixed voice as another instrument, but the balance is much better here. Bang up to date. It's a great record. Ruby Tuesday is also very good and very different." Bob Lang from the Mindbenders commented, "It sounds as though they've just bought a piano and want to use it as much as they can. But I actually like this very much indeed. I haven't really enjoyed the last couple of Stones singles, but this is a definite #1. Ruby Tuesday doesn't sound like them, but it's nice, although it disturbs me in a way."
Let's Spend the Night Together reached number 3 on the UK singles chart as a double A-side with Ruby Tuesday. In the United States, the single became the opening track of the American edition of the album Between the Buttons. Both songs entered the Billboard Hot 100 singles chart on the 21st of January. Ruby Tuesday reached number 1 on the 4th of March.